they cannot see you. And if they cannot see you, if you're having a bad day or anything like that, it's going to come out on the phone. So the first thing you need to do before you do anything on the phone is you've got to fix your attitude. So I'm going to go through about a 20-minute presentation. I want you guys to use the comments, introduce yourself, let us know what market you're in. And if you want to jump on a live, just click the link for the lives. It's pinned in the comments section. If you're on Facebook, as long as you join and subscribe to our Facebook group, it is pinned there as well. And you can get on the live. And remember, we talk all about wholesaling. So without further ado, let's get in. Let's talk about how to master the phones. And I can't think of a better topic to talk about than this. So let's get into it. So the first thing on the phones, guys, is you got to answer your phones live. So if you're doing outbound calls and somebody calls you back, or say you're doing direct mail and you put a phone number on the bottom, guys, you have got to answer the phones. I will let you in a little secret. One of the reasons why my company dominates my local area in wholesaling is because we're one of the few people that actually answer our phones live. And I will tell you, for the longest time, I was taught to let it go to voicemail and filter out all the haters, and all the tire kickers on there. That worked in the beginning. Then we go fast forward, even back 2013, 14, 15, I was the only company that would answer the phone live. You know why? It was much easier to get them on the first phone call. I didn't have to play phone tag. And keep in mind, once they got a hold of me or my company, that's it. We circle the wagons. We make sure they don't call anyone else, and it is over. If you talk to the average seller that calls on an outbound piece of mail or any type of solution you do, let it be reverse wholesaling or a sticker, they will deal with the person that treats them the nicest and answers the phone first. If you give them 10 like postcards, less than 10% of the people answer the phone, because the honest with you guys, a lot of you guys are taught the wrong way. You're taught like, just let it go and cycle. Honestly, find someone to answer the phone. If you're working a job, have your wife answer the phone, have your sister answer the phone, get a business partner. I'm telling you, answering the phone is a game changer in wholesaling. It will separate you from most of the competition. Most wholesalers do not answer the phone. And for this reason alone, they are missing out on the business. Think about it. You spend all that money on leads. You skip trace all these lists, everything. You leave a message and they call you back and they get an answering machine. You got to understand, a lot of sellers, they have to build up so much energy just to call you. Like, it takes a lot of momentum and it takes a lot of guts for them to call you. And when they leave a voicemail, it's like they might change their mind. I can't tell you how many motivated sellers have called me, my company, even when I did in the beginning. And honestly, if they didn't hear me connect with them, they probably just would have gave up. They might have gone to a realtor, or they'll probably go to another wholesaler. Guys, answer your phones live is a phenomenal difference. Okay. Number 2, by God, just be yourself and be personable. Okay. Stop being a robot. Stop telling them like your big corporation. If you have to tell them your home buyer solutions, but listen, hey, I'm Rick Ginn with Treasure Coast Home Buyer Solution, whatever your company name is, and just make it personable. Okay. People relate with you when you're personal. Think about it. How many times you call a business and they put you on some sort of international phone call, they transfer you 3 times and the person just butchers your name. You just get tired of it. It's not personable. It's very business-like. So the more personal you make it, just like being their friend, connecting with them, building that rapport, it will go a long way. Guys, you've got to be personable, and I want you to be yourselves. A lot of this stuff's common sense, I know, but you'd be surprised how many people overlook this stuff. Number 3, remember, they can't see you. I got my specs on today. Sorry about it. I'm actually blind without them. I usually wear contacts, but I thought I'd change it up today. So they can't see you over the phone, okay? I know, I know some of you do FaceTime and Zoom, but for the most of you guys are doing the phone. So your tone, your speed, and your enthusiasm is what they are initially judging you on, especially in the first 30 seconds. So Make sure your tone is clear and crisp. Make sure your speed matches their speed, and make sure your enthusiasm just boils through that phone. You only get one shot at a first impression on a phone. Because they can't see you, they're going to rate you on tone, speed, and enthusiasm. Case closed. If you screw these three up, they're probably going to judge you instantly, and you're not going to get far with them. Okay? This is one of my favorite sayings, and I'll say this till the day I die, is you need to turn your scripts in the conversation. I'm fine with you having a script. I even provide you a script at freewholesaling.com. And by the way, if you guys are new to this channel, make sure you go over to freewholesaling.com. We teach you step by step how to get started in this business, make your first 100 grand. In there, we do provide a script on how to talk to sellers. But remember, a script are nothing more than bullet points. Okay. So when you have a script and you're asking them questions, churn it into a conversation. So many wholesalers try to memorize their scripts in like perfect order. And what happens when you memorize something in perfect order? What happens when the seller answers a question that's not in the order of your script? It rattles you. So the key thing is understanding your bullet points in your script. So if you have 5 points on your script and you're going through point 1, point 2, point 3, and then they jump to point 5, a lot of you will ignore point 4. You forget to ask it. Okay. So you have to learn your scripts inside and out. It's not good enough just to memorize them, and you need to turn them into a conversation. Let me give you an example. If I'm talking with a seller and I ask them about the condition of the property, and they jump out right away, hey, Mr. Rick, I need to know the price you're going to offer. Okay. I'm simply going to take control of that conversation and say, listen, I need to ask you some questions to find out more about your property, Mr. Seller. Are you okay if I continue asking questions? And I promise you we'll get to the price. I guarantee you I will. But I can't give you the best price without getting some more information from you. Is it okay if I ask these questions? Okay. That's turning a script into a conversation. I can tell when someone has a script in front of me because when they get rattled, they're trying to fumble through the script and they're trying to find out how to ask the right question out of sequence. So, guys, if you have a script, and I almost guarantee everybody on this call has a script, practice turning it into a conversation. The best way to do that is learn the script thoroughly, meaning understand all the points backwards, forwards, in the middle. So when you get questioned on it and it goes out of order, you can easily make sure if you have 5 points on your script, you get all 5 questions answered. There's nothing worse than going through a script in systematic order and somebody changes it for you and like you fall apart. Guys, I've been there. I've done this. I'm telling you, if you will learn your scripts inside and out, then you turn them into conversations. That's what's called mastering your phones and massively stepping up your game. That's a big one. Okay. I'm going to beat this to death. And I promise you, you're going to hear this on every live stream I do. You must seek motivation first. The reason for this is I have never gotten a good wholesale deal without some sort of motivation. Okay. Just to let you know, price is not a motivation. Everybody wants a good price. So it's not a motivation. Price is an asking. It's not a motivation. So the more you have motivation, the better the deal is going to be. If you spend the first part of your conversation qualifying them for motivation, you'll go much further in wholesaling. So many of you guys spend hours on comping and figuring out who your cash buyer is going to be. Honestly, if your seller does not have motivation, you need to move on and find a seller that has high motivation. Otherwise, you will not make it in wholesaling. If you do this in reverse order, you definitely won't make it in wholesaling. Guys, motivation is first. It's got to be one of your early types of questions. And I'm going to teach you in this slide presentation on how to master the phones, on how to qualify all sellers for motivation. Okay. Now here's a great secret, but it should be common sense 101. And most courses do not teach it. It simply is use the seller's name and use it as often as possible. Let me give you a little example. If I use your name, it usually rings a bell in your ear. So Aries, Josh, Jefferson, Steve, Jonathan. When I say your name, I guarantee your heads turn around. Revan, Mia, Jennifer, George, everybody's on this live. Beth, when I use your name, I promised you it got your attention, right? So if it got your attention, use the name multiple times throughout the conversation. Guys, it works on children very well. You ever notice when you're talking to your children or you're talking to a child, if you say, hey, Johnny, I need you to do this. And Johnny, when you're done with that, I need you to go over there. Johnny, I need you to nod your head so I know you understand what I'm saying to you. That is the essence of using someone's names. It is like a dog tag to your nervous system. When someone calls your name, your head snaps. You don't have a choice. You absolutely, right, Jennifer? See, you're not like people use names. I'm just telling you, if you want to find out if your seller is paying attention to you, use their name and use it often as you possibly can. Most people in real estate don't use this little trick, and it works really well. Ask my wife. She calls my name out. I run. It just works. Use people's name and use it often. And another little tip on names, if you do not know how to pronounce the person's name, just ask them. I rather ask than butcher someone's name because I think people respect when you ask on it. So use the seller's name. Okay. So we talked earlier about seeking motivation. How do we seek motivation? We have to ask the 4 qualifying questions. Okay. And so we're going to make this a little interactive in there. I put up the acronyms MCTP. I want you guys to put in the comments what each one stands for. And I just want to find out if you're paying attention. So what's M for? Somebody type that in the comments. We'll put it in there. I've already talked about it in the slide presentation, so it should be an easy one for you. Okay. You have to do this first. If you don't do this first, you're wasting your time. I want you to understand the 4 qualifying questions that we teach are in order. So Benji's got it perfectly right. So does Chadrick. Oh, okay. Well, Benji spelled the whole thing out. He's kind of motivation, condition, timeline, and price. And honestly, in the perfect world, this is the perfect order you ask to do your motivation questions. So, it's so funny. Somebody's ticked off giving me a mad face in here. I think it's just so funny. Maybe they're just not asking the right question. So motivation, why? We need to seek out the motivation, and simply by saying, hey, listen, Mr. Seller, why are you looking to sell this property? Okay. Simple as that. The next one's condition. We're going to ask the condition of the property. This will help match up the motivation. Why we ask timeline? Honestly, we want to see if they made a decision when they want to sell by, because if someone hasn't made a decision where they're going to move and relocate to on how many days, like, are you moving at the end of the month? If they say, I haven't made that decision yet, they're probably not that motivated to make a decision while you're on the phone with them. And the last one is price. You guys get into it. Price is not a motivation. I always go into price is, what do you need to get out of this property? I never ask what you need. I never ask what your selling price is, because that's always a wish list. Unfortunately, realtors created this artificial world on how we do the properties and play this poker game. List it way above price and just get someone close to it, and the realtor looks like a hero. I'm not faulting them for it, but that's the system that we have to play in. So motivation, condition, timeline, and price. Awesome job, Benji. Guys, just so MCTP, if you just remember that acronym, you can work that into your qualifying questions so you can turn your scripts into conversations. So like this, if I ask them the motivation and they want to tell me they want to sell the house in the next 90 days, seller, that's great. Tell me why you're looking to sell the house in 90 days. I pivoted from timeline back to motivation, and then I'll go into condition, and then I'll see what they need to get from the property. Why I do that? It turns the script into a conversation. We cannot be robots. Guys, you have to be professionals and learn how to do this. In the beginning, honestly, I just want to get you on the phones, because sometimes you have to be mechanical. But as you progress, each month you get through it, actually each week, you need to get better and better on the phones. Okay, we're getting through there. We're almost done. Okay. This is a big one. Don't be an order taker. Maintain control of the conversation. And what do I mean by that? Is so many times when we're having a conversation with a seller is you're always going to get people that run you over. Guys, it's going to go on forever. It will never stop. This is how sales 101 works with dealing with wholesaling. Now, keep in mind, I don't think you're even really selling. You're more of disqualifying people. But when we're qualifying it, you're going to have people run you over. So when I say, hey, Mr. Seller, can you tell me about, tell me what's going on with the house? Why would you want to sell it? Can you tell me about the current state of the house, that's condition? And they'll go like this: Rick, just get to the price. I don't have time for this. You immediately have to grab that seller by the collar nicely and say, hey, listen, Mr. Seller, if I could just ask some basic questions about the house and allow me to get the best offer for you so I can structure an offer to see if you even qualify. Do you mind if I ask some questions? Okay. If you don't do that, you are nothing more and listen, I'm not knocking anybody who does fast food, but you're at McDonald's, you're asking for a number 1, a number 2, a 3, or 4. Okay. That doesn't work in wholesaling. Guys, there's no click here and get your price. Okay. You have to grab them. And honestly, if they won't give you that permission, odds are motivation is going to be terrible. And as Jonathan says here, no motivation, move on. They saved you the time. Okay. The reason why we want to get right into the qualifying questions is because I don't want to sell to someone that has no motivation. So here's another little trick. So when I go through motivation and I'm talking to them and they go on and they tell me how perfect this house is. Perfect white picket fence. I just painted it a pastel. We just did the gutters. They're brand new. And they go on and they keep throwing up. And you guys, you know exactly what I'm talking about. Here's what I do. I stop them. Oh, hey, John, dude, sounds like your house is perfect. Why are you even considering selling it? And I shut up. Keep in mind, if they reached out and called you or you called them and they're going on about the house, there's could be motivation. They're just hiding behind their ego. You guys know how I feel about egos. Is you have to lose your ego as a wholesaler. Unfortunately, sellers, a lot of them don't lose their ego until they get to know you and they learn to trust you. So don't write them off when they start bragging. Just stop them. Just do the takeaway right away. Okay. Maybe I'm just not this. Maybe why would you sell this property? It's so perfect. You should get top dollar for it. Why don't you go ahead and list it? You know, why don't you just go ahead and sell it for top dollar? Just sell it on your own. There's a reason typically they're not doing that and they're talking to you. Now, every now and then there are time wasters, but it is what it is. So, okay. We are almost done, I promise here. And this goes right into, I kind of overtalked this slide. Do not over pursue your sellers. This is a big tip you have to understand on the phones. I want you to be enthusiastic. Like God knows I want you to be enthusiastic about wholesaling, but your enthusiasm has to be about helping. Do not let your enthusiasm ramp up when you come to the price section. Okay. You actually have to be wanting them to chase you, not you chasing them, even though you want the deal bad. Okay. This is why I constantly want you to be working on multiple motivated sellers. You never rely on one because they'll break your heart. It's like the girlfriend you had in high school. They're going to take it away from you. So when you get excited and you get to the price hound, you have to have some reservation and a little bit of pullback. Okay. If you're too eager when it comes to price, remember, they're going to take that as a cue, like, Rick can pay me more. And I want you to understand that that's not what you want to get across to them. Okay. You want to help them. I get it. But honestly, a lot of you guys, when you're starting out with your first deal, I know I did, you chase them too hard and it's going to cost you. Okay. Slow down, be enthusiastic about helping them. But when it comes to price, just say, listen, let me see if it's going to work. Try to get their numbers and set up an appointment, and do not get over eager. Now, when it comes to your appointment, you don't want to get over eager about the appointment either. Say, listen, I think I have an opening tomorrow at 2:00. Let me know if that's open. I got a couple other houses we're looking at in the area. Maybe you're just doing driving for dollars. I don't want you to lie for people. So go out and do driving for dollars and then go by and look at their house. But if you are too over eager on your first deal, it makes sellers nervous. Okay. You have got to act like you've bought 1,000 houses before. I'm not talking about lying, but you just have to personify that you could live without this deal. And if you do that, you will truly get a good deal. Okay. Now, I'm not talking about like being insulting or anything like that, but there has to be pullback. Your natural intuition is to attack, go after it, whatever you have to get. But remember, if you don't get a good deal, it's not going to help you. It's not going to help your family out. And it's certainly not going to make you a better wholesaler. This is opposite to what you feel. Welcome to wholesaling. Once you understand these nuances, you will get it. I promise you, this will help you out tremendously. Okay. By God, when you're on the phone, I can't tell you how many times I did this at the beginning. Sometimes you get so excited, you forget to ask for the appointment. Okay. I want you to understand, guys, when you're on the phone, you only get like when you have a motivated seller on the phone and you find motivation, get as much information from that seller as you humanly possibly can. You know why? Because a lot of times when they get off the phone, they're hard to get a hold of. They are really, really, really hard to get a hold of, and you'll play phone tag. So get their email, get their phone number, get a backup phone number, find out their schedule, get everything you humanly possibly can. And for God's sakes, ask for the appointment. Okay. So many guys, if there is motivation, set the appointment and do it. Don't be overeager about it. Just be excited to help them out. But you have to ask for the motivation. I think I got one more on here. Okay. This is seriously important. You got to understand this. Okay. Make sure when you make any phone call in wholesaling, your goal is to get a result. Okay. My goal every time I would reach out on the phone or anybody on my staff reaches out on the phone is to try to get an appointment or try to eliminate, disqualify the lead. Okay. So have a clear-cut goal. Now, you shouldn't be on the phone more than 15, 20 minutes with a motivated seller. Because if you talk too much, you get to the point where you gave them too much. And honestly, the intrigue of meeting with you is probably taken away. Okay. The only exception to that is going to be probates, because probates always need time. Okay. So probates are going to be the exception to this rule. But honestly, if you're on a phone call more than 15, 20 minutes, you're talking too much. Okay. I've been guilty of this. God knows the people I work with have been guilty of it. It's just, if you can't get your point across in 15, 20 minutes, you're probably doing something wrong, and you need to look and see if your script is turning into a conversation and you're getting that information. Okay. And remember, the order of your qualifying questions is, if you can't find motivation early, the phone call should be significantly shorter. That's just how it works, especially if you're doing cold calling. You don't have 15 minutes to talk to every deadbeat lead. If there's no motivation, just move on or put them on a follow-up list or whatever it needs to be. Okay, guys, motivation is the mother of all skills, and it's super important to seek that motivation and find it. If you do it in any other reverse order, it gets painful in wholesaling, because you'll go through hours and hours of work. You'll get in your car, you'll meet with people, and you'll just waste your time. And honestly, I do not want you doing that. So I want to share something with you here. I think this will drive it home. It's a little chart I made up, and this took me a while to figure it out. I always thought, I go, how can I show like a motivation chart? And you can put your own spin on this, but this is like my 20 years of wholesaling, and I want to show you what I came up with. Okay. So this is seller motivation here. So on the left is 0% discount all the way up to like, say, 40 or 50%. And if you guys want to come up with ideas to put on the slide, I would love to update it. But I'm telling you, if people are typically motivated by price, you're going to get between a 0 and a 5% reduction. Okay. That's it. Price is not a motivation, people. And you are going to pay the ultimate penalty before it. Because say you get a 5% just because you get a fast price, you're not going to get a good deal, and you're probably going to like have a bad contract. So hopefully you can get out of it, but you want to write many of those. We move on to the next one. My next favorite one is avoiding the realtor fees. And this is typically is most people are looking to avoid that realtor fee. But if you go from 5% to the realtor, a realtor is going to be anywhere from 3 to 6%. That gives you a 10% reduction. Guys, 10% is nothing, because if they list it with a realtor, the average cost for somebody to list it with a realtor and move on is going to be between 12 and 15%. Okay. So if we look at this, this is where the bend starts, right around that 15%. Okay. And what happens at 15%? That's probably a property that needs repairs and is not going to do well with a realtor, and it's a little bit tricky. Okay. This is where we start in wholesaling. Okay. From 10% and below, I don't even consider a wholesale deal. Honestly, it won't work. Now, the sweet spot is anywhere from 10% and up, because remember, you only got to make about a 10% adjustment to make this deal work. How do you make that work? You got to find out the motivation of the seller. Now, if I know it has repairs, then it's going to go up. Remember, repairs vary. They can be from 5 to 100 grand, depending on what house you're in, what market you're in. But now we're talking at 15%. This is typically where we started wholesaling. If we add on to that, you work up from 20 to 25%. If you add some sort of court pressing need, that's why we really push the government list, because if you have a foreclosure, pre-foreclosure, anything like that, it'll drive it up. And then we work up to like 35%. 35 to 40% is going to be a probate, or somebody has to sell immediately. Arrest records, serious trash out, evictions, stuff like this. And I guess once you understand this, remember, you are not playing in the wholesale world till you get around that 15% line. Okay. Because we have to have a discount to make these properties work. As the market's changing, these numbers are going to change. And when I started in this business, we didn't look at anything below 20, 25%. Okay. Times have changed a little bit. I get it. Okay. I've been through a lot of markets, and I'm going to update this chart. So if you guys have any ideas to add to this chart, send me a message, support@flipwithrick.com. I would love to hear from it. I think it's important, but it at least gives you kind of a visual graph of like, okay, here's discount. And honestly, the more you stack up these pain points, the higher the discount will be. Okay. I bought houses up to 80, 90% discount, like really messed up titles, crazy stuff, and attorneys involved. And I'm here to tell you,